Hi, this is Exploring with Em and Stu.
And today we brought you to Millersdale in the heart of the Peak District National Park. And this area, Derbyshire, used to be renowned for its abundance of lime quarries and workings, many of which sit abandoned now. And today we're going to be taking you for a look at one of them, here in Millersdale. So when the Midland Railway opened here in 1863, they took advantage of the easy transport links that this created, and many of these lime quarries opened up all along the track here, including the one here at Millersdale in 1878. So I'm currently walking along the old abandoned Midland Railway line, today known as the Monsal Trail. And just about in this location was actually where the sidings that went to our lime works would have come off. And just behind me there, you can just about sort of see where the line came off and went up to terraces right into the heart of the actual quarry and the lime kilns. And we've got numerous ruins and structures that would have been just behind us, just here. But we're going to carry on down the track and see if we can see a few more of these little ruins.
So Emma's just done a little bit of a information board there for you, and we're actually walking along here and we're actually starting to see remnants poking out of the side of the hills here, you know, bits of stone, and just up here you can see a remnant of maybe a some sort of chute or building maybe. Yeah. I don't actually know. Very
likely. I mean, this would have had numerous sidings that would have gone up on inclines, possibly with winding houses, depending, I suppose, of the gradient of the incline, all the way up to the actual lime kilns themselves, which we're going to take you for a little look at in a moment. But yeah, there was an array of buildings down here. We're not too sure what they are because we haven't actually got any diagrams that we've been able to find, but I can only assume it was to do with sort of loading and things like that, I guess. And also they needed to be taken onto what these inclines really were more tramways really. So they would have been a narrow gauge, no doubt, and needed to be converted onto the standard gauge railway. So I guess there would have been a type of loading dock possibly down there. Maybe that's what we had.
And as you know, look, perfect example, as we're walking along here, you can start seeing the walls being formed into buildings, and literally all along here on the inclines. And it looks like along here, if you look at where the moss is, I'm going to take you over here, look where the moss is, there's actually brickwork, stonework, where you can actually starting to see not a platform as such being formed, but something.
Down here, clearly, it was a siding. You can tell from the actual main track line, and just above that, it looks like a small narrow gauge line was going all the way along there. So, yeah, you have to look quite closely. Thankfully, it's winter and we can see a little bit better. But there certainly was once upon a time an awful lot to see along here. But we're going to take you to the best bit in just a moment, which is down here. I've decided to come up onto the terrace just up here to take a closer look at some of these ruins, because we do actually know that up here was a crusher to crush up the lime. Obviously it needed to be small to be able to be usable, and just behind us we've got these large concrete ruins of a structure, and it goes all the way up to the top there if we look very closely, and I believe this actually could have been the ruins of that crusher. Just having a little dig around in the undergrowth here, and I've actually found this large metal object which looks very much like it was probably some sort of mechanism to hold something very heavy in place. I mean, I do know that some of these crushers and these loading docks did actually have sort of like a dolly loading system with wheels on. So, God, that's really quite a chunk of metal there. So I do wonder whether that's probably from one of those. So I've just decided to clamber from the mainline track, which is just down here, and all the way up here, because behind me we've actually got a structure that we're going to take a closer look at and see if we can sort of figure out what it was. And so here we have it. You can see the large roof would have been all along here, and it's quite a large structure. And just over here we've got more ruins of structures, and where I was actually showing you just a little while ago was in fact just down on this bit where we were looking at that large sort of metal sort of strut that we were seeing. But just through here there's actually some tracks sticking out, so I'm going to see if I can take you for a closer look at that. And here we are just on the other side of that building, and as promised I wanted to show you where these pieces of track are sticking out along here. And obviously just below us we had a large structure, and of course at the top there's also quite a large structure. We can just about make out some roof lines. And just over here, we've actually got what, I'm not too sure if that looks like almost a bit of a doorway. Maybe I'll see if I can take you up there. But just below me, there was actually some, what quite clearly was some steps. So they obviously did come up here for some reason or another. But I'm not too sure if this is going to be a bit too tall for me to take you for a look at. But there we go. You can just about make out that we've got more buildings up here, just to my left there. And if I scoot you around, just to the right as well. So yeah, that's quite fascinating. But I think that's probably about as high as I should probably take you, because it's not the most stable of places to be. So I'm going to get back down and see if I can find Stu.
And here comes Emma crambling, literally crambling through all the bushes, looking at those buildings, and literally just behind her.
Incredible. When we've been here in the past, we didn't even know they were there.
No.
So, but we believe they could have likely have been, according to the documents, just to the east of the lime kilns, which are just in front of us, is the crusher for crushing the stone. So maybe that was something to do with it. But it looks like there's so much more than just that there. So who knows? Maybe you do. Maybe you can let us know.
But what we're going to do now is a little bit out of breath getting up here. Emma's going to show you around the actual kilns now. We have arrived at the kilns. I've walked from the bottom there. Emma's come climbing through there.
Cross country.
Yeah, the cross country way. And yeah, I'll leave it down to her and you can have a look with her.
So here we are at the large gritstone kiln itself. I mean, this consisted of 4 draw arches, and we're going to take you for a look in one of them. And here we are inside just one of those 4 kilns. And just above me here would have actually have been where the pots would have been, where they would have put in the coal and that raw limestone, ready to turn it into quicklime. And just at the back of the kiln here, as we can see, we've got 2 draw holes in this particular one. And this is where they would have drawn out that quicklime, probably putting them into barrows and out the door straight onto the railway. But if we look just above them there, they've actually got these small little holes, which were called toot holes, and that's where they would have been able to gauge the temperature of the quicklime, I guess, to see if it was ready, and also be able to unblock any sort of blocked slag or anything that might have got stuck inside there. But obviously these have been filled in and slightly collapsed over the years, but it's still quite a fascinating little piece of history. And of course, once that quicklime was drawn out of those draw holes, it would have been, as I said, taken out, likely in wheelbarrows, and probably along here and down onto the track itself, probably in a small cart and taken to the main line.
And Emma's just come out of, I would say, out of all of them, the best one, because it had more detail. But I'm actually going to come in here now. We're just going to have a little bit of a walk in here. This one's a bit wider and not so deep, I don't think.
No.
And you can see here where the lime was, remnants of it.
If you look very closely, you can see what does appear to be some of the remnants, probably of the last bit of lime that was actually put into the kiln.
It's interesting though. I mean, you'd expect this to be quite echoing. It's really not.
Yeah.
And you can see that actually, you can actually see down there where the lime's hitting the water, and it's a bit like the Blue Lagoon in that way, how clear the water is.
Calcium and that in them.
Yeah.
But these sort of alcoves, they would have often have just had a man and a young boy just shoveling that quicklime
all day long
out of them. Yeah, and you can only imagine how hot it must have been in here, as well as obviously quite dangerous, because don't forget, lime is quite corrosive, of course. So it couldn't have been a particularly pleasant job to be doing.
No.
But these weren't the only guys that were working obviously at these lime kilns, because as I was saying, just above us were the pots where they would have been loading in that the limestone, and the coal. just above us.
And I think we're going to be taking a trip up there, aren't we?
We can actually get up there to take a look, to see what sort of remnants might be up there. So it's a bit of a way up, but we'll meet you when we get up there.
We'll see you up there.
And here we bring you right to the top of the kilns that are just below us there. And thankfully, we've got some rather modern steps that have been put in, so you can come and have a little look up here yourself. But we wanted to bring you to as close as we can to the edge, because just down here is where the pots would have been, where they would have loaded the coal and the limestone into the furnaces, into the kilns basically. These would have been lined with fire bricks for obvious reasons. I do believe they actually had to replace those fire bricks sort of every 2 or 3 years, I guess, because the amount of heat that these would have created, of course, would have even damaged fire bricks, I suppose. But there would have been, I believe, 4 of these along here. Sadly, we can't really see too much of them now. But there's also a few other bits and pieces to show you, because this would have had numerous buildings. Of course, the limestone had to come from the quarry, which is just below us here, and brought up here to be prepared and ready to be put into the kilns. So we'll have a little look and see if we can find some of the remains of some of the structures that were up here.
And here we are. Now, when Emma was down there and she showed you those little bits when I was sitting on the path, now we're at the top of it.
That's it. When I was showing you those ruins, which I thought could have been the crusher, we were just below us, all these structures and things above it, and I could see that they continued on up. So we've come from where the stairs were and we've walked all the way along the top where the pots used to be, right to the far side. And there again, there's an abundance of ruins and things up here to show you. We do believe that up here they used to have some sort of a ropeway on large pillars. Yeah. And if we look really closely at well, these would have been pillars before they fell down, obviously. There are actually ropes, metal ropes and things up here. So this very likely probably was that. And that would have been used, I guess, to take sort of small little pots up and down with things in them, possibly. We haven't actually got any proper information as to what they were used for, but we believe this is the remnants. And just on the other side, there's plenty to see here, so I think I'll take you for a little look to see what we can find and if we can work out what they used to be.
All right, I'll give you over the camera.
So here we are. Stu's going off to have a look and see if he can find any other remains down here. But here's these large pillars I was telling you about, and I'll just show you up the top here, because they actually stretch all the way up to the top where the quarry actually was, which was just up there. But if we take a closer look at this, like I said, we think this could have been where the ropeway system used to be, because if we look inside here, you can actually see it's got something that used to be fixed onto there, possibly some sort of pulley system. And we've got bits of rope, and we can see them scattered all around. So I'm just going to take you for a little look around here, because all this moss actually is concrete, clearly come from some sort of structure that's broken away in time. And again, look at this huge piece of concrete. And I'm going to, as carefully as I can, take you down here for a very quick look, because it is really only ruins down here, but I think it's quite fascinating. Again, more pieces of concrete, huge concrete boulders almost, that clearly came from structures, and it's all around here. But it's just down this little track that I want to take you for a little look at, because we've got something here that's quite interesting, and I'm not going to pretend I know what it is, because I'm really not sure. But again, obviously some sort of system from this large crusher that would have been just behind us, and you can see it's got almost a bit of a metal shuttering there, and I guess it would have gone, something would have probably come from down here. I mean, maybe this could have even been some sort of winding house from the inclines, because this had tram inclines going from the quarry all the way down here. And if I just take you back along here, I'll see if I can show you a little bit as to what I was looking at earlier. You can't see very well, but just down there are those ruined structures that I was showing you originally at the beginning of the video. But I'm not going to go too much further because it's not overly safe up here. Got this barbed wire, they obviously don't want you to go over there. But there was one little feature that I spotted on my way out earlier. And if I can find it again, I will show you. I think it's just here. There it is. Right next to our huge piece of metal, and you can see the reinforcement just there. And I wonder whether it was actually attached to this once upon a time. And a piece of concrete sticking out there with some sort of metal girder. Almost looks like a little piece of track, but I doubt it was. Although it could have been, look. Because again, we've got these pieces of what looks a little bit like track or something sticking out of the top of them. So that's quite interesting. And just down here, we've actually got a piece of that metal ropeway just about holding in there. I mean, it's rather rusted now. But yeah, that's quite cool. I really don't think too many people worry about coming and looking at these ruins at the top of this, but we like to have a little explore. So anyway, I'm going to head back here and find Stu, see if we can find anything else, because I think there's one or two that we passed on the way.
And here comes Emma looking over the barbed wire there. She's looking at everything coming through.
I'm just looking at the ruins that are down the bottom there and thinking how much I would have loved to have got down and shown you some more, but it's too unsafe, unfortunately. It is
unsafe. But we have come to another feature. Just here, actually, Emma's going to quickly show you.
Well, I'm going to try to. I'm not too sure what it is, but here we've got what look very much like pieces of track sticking out. Now, of course, these obviously weren't used for actual railway sort of carts or wagons or anything. I think possibly there could have been some sort of crane or something was obviously attached. And we've actually got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. So maybe there's one missing there.
Could it have possibly been a plinth?
Yeah, well, this is a concrete plinth underneath all
with
this.
Like an oil drum or something on top, maybe.
It could have been, couldn't it? I suppose, but it's still some sort of fascinating little bit of industrial remnant. So. Well,
yeah, but I mean, it's sitting right next to an office, and as you can see, it's like some sort of office. I reckon it was an office, don't you?
Very likely. I mean, these did always have some sort of office for them. Not often in this sort of location, so I'm not too sure. But it could have just been a hut that they used, maybe for tea breaks, like we saw at the quarries in Wales.
Yes, that's true.
They often had what they used to call a little cabane.
Yeah.
This could have been a little hut.
Same thing, a cabane. Yeah, could have been.
Yeah, very likely.
Absolutely.
It's all sealed up now, which is a shame because it's the most complete building that we've actually
seen. Yeah.
Got up here. They're keeping bats in it, so that's their excuse to not let us in there. But I gotta love the bats. But that's quite nice. So I'm sure that at some point Stu will show you that a little bit closer with his cinematics.
Yeah.
But there are a few more ruins just down here to show you before we go.
So moving on, Emma's just having a look at a map.
Because I've actually got some of the old diagrams of how this used to look at around about 1900s. Maybe I'll put them on the screen for you.
Absolutely.
And try and sort of show you where we actually stood right now, and you can see the lines of the tramways that crossed not only from the quarry behind us, but also down where the lime kiln was itself.
That's it. Well, what I'm going to do, Emma wants to show you the chute, which is just behind her here, and she's going to take you up there and have a quick look.
Here we have the remnants of a chute, and you can see the big concrete there with metal mounted, but we'll take you for a look at that in a moment. And we know that this is a chute because if you look just down here in this hole, you can actually see where the chute came out. I don't actually know what's down there. I've not been and I don't plan on going, but there you go. That's inside the chute. So that's quite fascinating. But I'm going to take you for a little look on the top there because I'm fascinated to see actually what's up there. And here we are at the top, a little out of breath after climbing up there. But I really wanted to show you this chute because as you can see, we've got a large concrete block here, but it's actually got a hole in the middle of it. And I'm going to pop the camera over and see if I can show you down it. It's not overly deep anymore. Obviously, it's been filled in over time. But oh, that would have gone all the way down there and down to that hole that we were looking at just a moment ago. But if we look very closely, I have uncovered a little bit of this metal strut with these bolts in. So I'm wondering whether there was some sort of crane type structure, or maybe even some sort of a loading chute. I guess that would have made more sense. Would have been mounted, very likely, right on the top of here, loading things in. That would have then gone down here. Obviously we're talking about crushed lime, I assume, limestone, to where a trackway likely would have been. And I guess it would have come from up here, because you can see, if you look very closely, quite artificially, a bit of an alcove. So I do wonder whether there was an incline system down from the quarry down here. And well, while we're here, look, a bit of an old tin, look, an old tin barrel or something, which is quite fascinating. But as you can tell, I love stuff like this. But there we go. I just wanted to take you for a little look at that. And there we've got what we believe is likely our little officer's cabin. But there's one more little ruin just over here we'll take you for a little look at, and then I think we might just about be finished.
And here we are, one more bit of ruin on our way out of the kiln area.
Yeah, yes, we don't know what this was, but there's little bits of ruins all the way along here. But this is actually stone, so I wonder whether it's a little older.
A little older, I reckon a little bit older.
Oh, possibly.
But we can conclude this video now, can't we?
I think we possibly can. I mean, we've been here for a lot longer than we planned.
Yes.
And we found a lot more than we thought.
Yes.
And I almost like to leave it with the mystery of knowing that there's still plenty more to see, to maybe return in the future.
Exactly.
But it's been an awful lot of fun. But just before we go, we'll talk a little bit about the quarry, I suppose.
Yes,
the history.
the quarry.
Back to the history. The quarry was closed in 1930 because I do believe that parts of it actually started to collapse. There's a lot of clay in the soil here, and it was just sort of pushing the stone out and causing dangerous collapses. So they decided that they had to close it down. So,
Yeah.
And that was kind of the end of that, really.
Shame. But we've enjoyed making this video today. It's been a long walk, bit of exercise. It's been enjoyable.
It is, yeah.
It's been quite nice digging around again for once.
Yeah.
We haven't been digging around for a while, and we've managed to do that today.
That's it. I mean, we've done something a bit more casual today because we want to enjoy this a little bit more. And we could carry on today. We've actually got the quarry just above us, which I'd hoped to go and have a look at, but it's starting to get a little bit dark, and we've
Yeah.
got about 2 miles to get back. So
That's it.
maybe we'll try and send the drone up to show you the quarry, where of course the limestone would have actually come from. That would have been sent down, of course, into the kilns to start with. That's
Exactly.
the reason why the kiln, of course, was here, because the Midland Railway line that came through here was surrounded by lime, basically, huge boulders of lime that they turned into quarries. So, and there's so many more around here. Hopefully we'll take you for a few more while we're here in the Peak District.
That's it. But if you've liked the video, please consider liking and subscribing. It's been building our channel very, very nicely, and also it encourages us to make more content for you.
Absolutely. And also, if you want to see a little bit more of us, we've got some fabulous Patreons that support us every month. We've been able to buy new equipment and help us to get to places like this. So thanks to them. And if you'd like to join them, all the details about that will be in the description below.
So, as from Exploring with Em and Stu, it's been fantastic.
Here at Millersdale, a lime kiln in the Peak District. Thanks for watching as always. See you again.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.